All right, I'm ready.
Okay, we've got 45 minutes and I'll start the timer as soon as you're inside and the gate is shut.
Easy, little guy.
There we go. Let's have a big hand for Alberta's Katie.
Oh.
Nice looking sorrel, Billy.
Thank you, everybody.
45 minutes and your time starts now.
All right, good morning, everyone. So, I think we're going to have a little bit of an attention problem here for a minute, so I'll just kind of do the best way I know to get his attention is to just start pushing him around and try to pick one thing that I'm going to work on here until I get him to kind of be with me, and then I'll start to back off. First thing I'm going to start with is a direction. You can see he kind of likes the left. I'll let him settle in, and then I'm just going to pick him up, and I'm going to go a direction until he'll kind of move off my pressure softly, and I can see him accepting the pressure, and then I'll back off and see if he's with me. When I start my liberty work, just maybe a good tip for you guys if you're going to start with a young horse is I always make sure that it's really clear with the angle of my body on which direction I'm going to push a horse. A common thing I see that's a bit of a mistake is just to walk straight at him and then get mad at him for picking the wrong direction. So you'll see here once he kind of settles in, I'm going to make darn sure I'm pretty clear about what direction I want him to go. No surprises, all he wants to do is stand at that gate, so you can see here very clear about going to the left. And I'm going to kind of stay down to this side here because I know he's going to try me down again at the gate. Oh boy. Now it's hard to get too picky just yet about what he's going to do or where he's going to go because I don't have one tool in my toolbox yet. So I'm just going to keep pushing him around here till I can unstick him from the gate. And once I kind of build some tools and some ability to push on this horse a little bit, then I can start helping him move around the round pen a little bit more. There you go. Atta boy. Go out and be noticed. So when I'm pushing a horse around here, one thing I'm really looking for is I kind of focus on two things when I'm starting a new horse. I always think about a horse following a feel. So it's just a direction of pressure, whether it's from a bridle rein or a halter or in the liberty work. Whatever my direction is being sent, I want to make sure he's good with that direction. And then the second thing I look for is how they handle pressure. So when I add pressure with this whip, does he respond nervous or does he respond negative? If I have either one of those as a problem, I'm going to make sure I continue with that pressure till when I add pressure, he's not scared of it and he's not mad at it. And that's going to continue on when I'm using my legs, when I ride him, when I'm pulling on him in the halter, and all the way through. Atta boy, that's kind of our best one yet. He's getting to where he's getting with me a little bit. I'm going to keep speeding him up at the gate here until I can feel him not wanting to get stuck there anymore. And all it is adding a little bit of pressure where he's wrong and backing off where he's right. There, you see that was the first time I got him all the way through. So I'll just slow my steps down and kind of show him that's what I was looking for. There. And you can really relate to how this horse is going to work off of my lunge whip is how I'm going to be able to work him off of my legs. So if he's sticky on the lunge whip and I can get him to where he's unstuck, that's how I'm going to unstick him when I ride him. So if he's going to be sticky on the legs, I want to find that out as soon as I can and start addressing it in every way that I can. So that's what I'm working with him on here. And I'll let you guys in on a little secret. When I found out I was last, I was still hoping for the sorrel, and what do you know, I got him. He was my pick. Atta boy. Then I'll just kind of stop and let him think here for a sec. Then if he's going to get stuck at the gate again, I'll start him up again. Good boy. You can see it's taking less and less pressure all the time to move him off. I'm just not going to let him rest at that gate. Atta boy, nice soften on the other side of the round pen. Good boy. One thing about working a young horse or a horse that's a little green like him is that you can see that a hard thing that's going to do with him in the beginning is to get him to stay focused on one thing for more than, I think right now our record for how long he's paid attention to me is about a minute. So I'm just going to have to build on that. So anything I try to do right now, I know I'm going to run into some troubles, not because he's not understanding or not because he's not thinking or he's not a good boy, but more so just because he doesn't have the attention span or the focus right now for me to start throwing a bunch of things at him. So the more I can kind of add some pressure and back off and keep getting this young horse's attention, then when I actually do try to start teaching him things and things that are really important to me, what I'm going to find is that it's going to be easier to let it sink in. If he's not paying attention to me at all, I can come out here and do a bunch of things and rope him and get the halter on him, but I don't think it'll stick into my next session. So my plan is for my first session is to make sure that the focus and the attention span is kind of the most important of that first part of the day. And it's kind of like teaching him to learn a little bit. Attaboy. He's getting real soft off of that push. Good man. And he's free, you know, when he's moving around, so it's definitely not something I'm upset about. I appreciate the fact that he's free. Just a little more focus is going to be our next goal. Attaboy. Good man. Okay, I think I can go ahead and go with the right eye here a little bit. Push him by that gate, and then I'll go ahead and change direction. And then here, it's really easy to walk towards him, but if I kind of go around him, it really makes it clear to him that I want him to step out to the right. And then here, you see how I'm really not going to walk straight at him? And I don't want to step out there and cut him off. I want to give him lots of time to move away from that pressure, because if I step out there and cut him off, he's going to start looking for that. Thank you. In the beginning, it's almost like a human tendency to want to step out there and control his feet maybe a little bit too much. And then what I do is I get him worried about me stepping into him. And then I follow up with, hey, can I catch you? I don't want him scared of me walking to him. I want him kind of reading the play. That was a good shot, eh, Toby? Mouth right in the camera. You can check his teeth when we're done here. You can see he's kind of stronger on that left eye now than he is on the right eye. So I need to strengthen up that right eye a little bit till he's confident with me pushing him around and staying in that right eye. And again, really making sure that my body language is guiding this horse around as much as my whip is. I don't want him just moving off my whip. If I'm giving him a real clear direction on which way I want him to go, this can be kind of a tricky way to work a young horse, because if we get kind of tied to him to wherever he goes, I go, it's going to be easy to where this horse is just changing direction every 5 seconds and we don't know why. But if I stay very clear to the right by walking all the way around him here, he'll start to iron out a little bit easier. And then what it does, it keeps me consistently asking the same way for the same thing till I get it. Really get out here to the right. Good boy. Now he's just stuck on that gate again. All I've done is just start right back where I was to the left. I'll just finish it off here to the right. Attaboy. Attaboy. First time I can get him to kind of do a full circle to the right, I'll go ahead and back off. The nice thing here is if I'm paying attention, it's slow going here for a little while, but the way I think about it is that what I can accomplish here, if you think if I was riding this horse right now, and all he would do is not move off of pressure, and every time he got to the gate, he'd stall up and I couldn't get him to move, and then he would switch direction and switch direction. This problem he's having right now is going to be really hard to fix under saddle. So the more I can chip away at it right now, it just saves me having to pull and kick and whip when I get on him. I can get this out of the way early to where he kind of learns how to be confident on both eyes, not switching direction. It just helps me down the road. Any fight I can have with a horse or any kind of disagreement I can have before I get on him is always the best. There. Get over there. Test him here, see if I finally get what I needed. No, he's still locking on that. Put a little more pressure on him out there, show him that's the right direction. Attaboy. And there you can see a young horse starts to get to where they're running around. It's almost like he's a little bit lost. He's not sure what I want him to do. And that's fine. He don't really know a whole lot yet. So as soon as I can find a moment of correct, it's always great to be kind of hunting that release myself, so I start getting him to do the same. There you see him just send out away from that gate, and he'll notice it just turns my pressure completely off. And once a horse learns that when they do the right thing, that pressure turns completely off, you'll see a horse start hunting that release. What can I do to get him to turn that pressure off? And not only does that get a horse easy to teach, it gets a horse easy to add pressure to. There, he maybe got the message. Now here, when he's not stopping, sometimes I get the question of, shouldn't you get out there and make him stop? It's kind of like bringing a knife to a gunfight. I haven't taught him how to stop, and I don't have the ability to make him stop right now, just standing here with a whip. So if it's something I'm going to go at him and just start moving him back and forth in the hopes that he's just going to stop, it's going to be really hard to get that message to come through. So I find if I just stay pushing around and backing off, he starts looking for the back off, and that'll help him stop. But for me to just jump out there right now and tell this horse, I want you to stop moving your feet right now, I would be picking a battle that not only would it be something I don't think I would have success with, it would also be something that I don't think he would understand, and then it would make him kind of freeze up and be nervous. I like that he wants to travel around right now, and when I teach him to stop, I'll expect him to stop, but until that's something that him and I have had a conversation on, I don't want to go to picking an argument with him or trying to teach him something that he doesn't have a fair shake of learning yet. I need some more tools on him here. I always think too when they bring these horses, we were talking in the meeting about how many times these horses have been in a stall and how many times they've been to town. I bet there's a little bit of I bet you their brain was fried a little bit here a couple days ago. They're wondering what the heck's going on, so give them some time to settle in as well.
Yeah, it's just like our trainers and judges. The first time they've been to town.
Been to town since, so 364 days of not going to town.
A little bit wide-eyed. They're almost housebroken though.
Yeah. Just going to push him out here and make sure I finish this one more time to the right and then go ahead and move on. He keeps getting strong on that left eye. Attaboy. Attaboy. Good boy. And I think a lot of you can see when he's wanting to change direction and stuff there. I think if you're watching his eye and kind of reading his body, which I'd encourage you guys all to do when you're watching the Trainer Challenge this year, is when you're watching along, really try to read the horse and start to see what we're seeing and why we're addressing it, especially if we're not explaining it. But you can see there when he wants to change direction, if you're watching as he goes around, something will catch his eye over here and then he'll want to change direction. So I don't know if it's so much that he's just wanting to change direction or if it's maybe a piece that he can't focus on me long enough to stay in a circle. So if I'm still kind of losing that attention and losing that focus, that's probably more of the battle I'm having with him than anything else. Okay, give him a rope. Thanks, sir. Hey, partner. As soon as I grabbed the rope, he come right up, didn't he? Don't throw that at me, I'm good. Hey, partner. This is the first time he's been on me for more than 60 seconds, so as much as there's a lot of things I want to get done, just letting him kind of stand here with me probably ain't a bad idea. Hey, bud? Sure you're not making a little bit of a mountain out of a molehill? Hey? Good boy. Okay, so when I rope my horses, it's something that I do as much as I can with them, just because it's a good way to teach them how to handle pressure, and it's a good way to teach them to follow a feel. And then when that pressure starts to get high, when that rope is swinging, a lot of times what a horse starts to feel is that means run away. And once I start to swing this rope, what I'm going to do is I'm going to maintain my swing almost if it's a version of pressure, and then as soon as he'll kind of face up with me, I'm going to take that swing away. So he starts to learn to kind of face that rope a little bit, and that he starts to realize that pressure is on there for a reason. It's not a kind of a game of cat and mouse. So I'll just kind of hold this rope up there, and I'm going to use my body language a little different here. You guys will kind of see how I'm going to change it. And then all I'm doing is waiting there for that eye. And there's a lot of guys that kind of have the same idea. You've seen, I'm sure if you've watched some videos there, you've seen guys to where they'll shake the flag till a horse faces up. This is kind of the same idea. It's just once I get to where I can rope this horse, then I try to teach him how to almost halter break or lead or follow a feel really good here with the lariat before I ever even think about going to the halter. Good boy. And if I am going to rope a colt, this is always a good way to ease into it, because then it's not just chase him around until I huck it at him. Good boy. Good boy. He got the message there. Now as soon as I pick that rope up, he's eyeballing me right away. If that gets you to stop swinging that thing here, all you want. I'll kind of test him, leave him in here a little bit, kind of put some pressure on him. Good man. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Shelly. You're always good for a clap. When I do throw this rope on this horse, I don't pull on it right away. I'll pull on it to make sure it gets tight and it's not down around his legs, or do my best there. But as soon as this rope hits this horse, his first reaction is going to be, I need out of here. And it's going to be such a strong instinct in a horse that if I start pulling right away, it's going to make him kind of run off harder. So what I'm going to do is get that rope kind of tight around his neck, make sure he's not tripping on or anything, and then I'll just kind of leave him out there till he relaxes. Then I'm going to start my pull. So what's nice about the round pen as opposed to being out in the open and trying to rope a colt is that I have all the time I need with him.
Excuse me, exhibitors, those waiting for them to vary the Alberta Equestrian Federation Lecture Hall, unfortunately, you will not be able to attend. Thank you.
I hope you guys can hear me better than I could hear him.
Lee's Music from Kamloops, BC provides the sound for all of the events at the main event, but the house speakers are actually the Westerners. So there's a little difference in quality.
Lee's from Kamloops. That's
They've been sound at the main event here in Chilliwack for as long as they've been going. They also do sound for the Kamloops Cowboy Festival.
That's hometown for me. I drove by Lee's Music 100 times.
Close to the thriving metropolis of Barnhartville.
Yes, sir. Every time I go home to visit the family, I can't believe how much it's changed in Kamloops.
Oh, man. I rode a fair number of miles with your dad over the years.
I've rode a fair number of miles. I don't know if it was with him or just behind him getting cussed a little bit, but I've been there. Hurry up. Okay, he's ready. All right, we'll throw this on him here, our next step. And I'm just going to, like I say, make sure I just lay it on there as soft as I can so I'm not trying to blow him out of the water. Make sure I get it tight, and then just not going to pull on him. Good. Maybe if I can get him off the fence a little farther might help. We'll see. Last year he made me nervous, Hugh.
Yeah, he was sitting right here.
Yeah, you said, you're like Martin Black's here watching you. I'm like, oh, I hope I don't miss. I've watched his roping videos a lot.
That was a pretty nice catch.
Thank you. You see there how I didn't take it to him right away, and I didn't try to make a huge deal out of it, or even here if it's going to get down under his legs. Just until I have his attention. I've made the mistake in the past of trying to pull, and then I get him so darn mad in the pull before I ever get an opportunity to talk to him.
Well, I like that concept. You can teach him how to be roped before he even try to rope.
It's something that I find it helps with the feel out here, because if I try to get him to move out on the halter, I find they're always really sticky. But you can see here, I can just hold steady pressure on this colt until he gives me anything the direction of correct. And then there he starts to follow that pole. Thank you. That's what I need when I'm halter braking or I'm riding. You know, if my rope goes this way, I expect him to go that way. And here you can see I don't need to pull really hard. I just need to pull hard enough to engage him, and then I just wait until he's kind of on the direction of correct.
And if you just kind of hula-hand him when he was running around in one direction, instead of giving to the pressure, he'd push right into it for quite a while.
He'd drug me right out of my boots. I've never been a big enough guy to pull that shot off. I might be able to stop a little dog or something, but not him.
No, your rolling gloves would be smoking and you'd just be dragging along.
Good boy. Good boy. Good man. And you can see, I mean, I had a question one time at a trainer challenge where they said, you know, why'd you rope him? He looked like he was going to be good to catch. And this colt was definitely that. For sure, as I could have caught him no problem, but as soon as I grabbed this rope, I could have got a halter on him. For me, it was just an opportunity to once again kind of work on those two things I told you I'll be focusing on all week. Is I want to teach him how to follow a feel, and I want to teach him how to handle pressure. So there I feel like I put him in a good position to handle pressure. He did very well with it. And then you can see that with the feel, right away he got the feel idea, and that was just another good opportunity for him and I to make some good headway. All right, fellas, I think we're ready for the halter. I can't get rid of him, so I might as well get a halter.
Those pen wranglers look pretty familiar.
Yeah. My helpers today is my good friend Travis Beaton. I've been friends with him for a long time. He works down on the McIntyre Ranch. He's the big feller. And the little guy there is Rhett Havron. He's been working for me here for the last little while. Yeah. You can tell Rhett's got some of our support from our ladies there. Here, that'll be easier. Thanks, Travis. All right, little guy. So still operating under the same idea. When I grab a horse on the halter, my first instinct is to start doing a lot. I try to fight that a little bit, and when I say the two things that I'm working on, it's follow a feel comes first. So follow feel and handle pressure. So the first thing I'm going to do is talk about follow a feel. And the best way I can do that, I find if I start moving a horse's feet too much, I start losing him. So I'm going to start with just something very simple. I'm going to ask him to put his head down. And I'm just going to release every time he heads a direction to correct. And what makes this easy is that it's very low pressure and it's very direct to the feel. If I do this with a horse a few times and then, you know, pressure gets higher or they start getting nervous, they remember to follow the direction of that pole. So it's just kind of an easy way to chip it away at their learning this step by step. Then after he's good at this, I can go ahead and start moving his feet. So you can see here, you know, he's pretty numb to it a little bit, like he's not thinking he's supposed to do something. So I'm just going to wait until he does anything the direction of correct, doesn't matter how small. If he heads the direction of that pole, I'm going to release every time until I feel like he truly understands what I'm doing. That's something you guys will hear me talk about this weekend is I'm not moving on from anything I'm doing. Thank you. I'm not moving on from one thing unless I feel like he truly understands. In a trainer challenge, I don't have enough time to perfect everything I want to do. But it's very important to me that I feel like he truly understands before I move along. It'll be something I'm really going to focus on.
Yeah, sorry.
Just going to stay with him here. You see he's kind of stuck and more concerned about my hand. I want it to be true from the feel. Just hold steady. Another good thing to remember if you guys are working young horses is that a full release is super important. Sometimes with young horses, we don't want to let them go completely because we're worried they're going to run off. He really feels the difference if I just stop pulling or if I let go. There's a big difference for him. Not only that, it makes it very, very clear to someone who don't speak the same language as me to know, yes, that was definitely correct. That's exactly what he wanted. As soon as I went that way, he let go. It makes it, when I talk about a horse truly understanding something, that makes me feel like I'm doing my best for him. I'm clearing any kind of blurred lines there are there. And you can see this colt's going to be really, really easy to get soft. It's something he kind of wants to be anyways. I just got to make sure I don't get in the way of that. Hey, bud. Now, is he soft or is he wanting to smell my hand? Maybe a little column A, maybe a little column B. I don't know. We'll keep playing with him here and figure it out. There. Good boy. That was a big one. Good man. Thank you. Now, the follow feel, I think we can say he's going to be pretty good with that. The next one is going to be handle pressure. So everybody has a bit of a different way of moving a horse around on the halter, or in their groundwork. There's a lot of different aids you can use and stuff to help you. I just use my rope, and when I'm using the rope in my hand, I kind of leave maybe 1.5 foot of rope out there, and I want to make sure I use a tap building from a 1 to a 10, and I want to make sure that every time before I tap on a horse, I'm going to lift first. And what this does is it allows horse not only time, but a clear kind of preparatory command saying this pressure is coming. So, and I'm going to add that pressure the same as I'm going to add with my legs, and I'm going to add it for the same reason all the time. If he refuses me in the body, or if he refuses me in the face, I'm going to add either taps, or if I'm riding him, I'm going to add legs. So that pattern is going to remain the same. First thing I'm going to ask him to do is I'm going to ask him to back up. And I want to kind of think of my halter here as a joystick. So when that halter knot here goes back, that means back up. And when it goes to the side, that means go sideways, left, right. I should kind of have all those pieces before I step on. So I'll start by slowly applying pressure backwards till there he sees little resistance. So I'll lift, tap at a 1, light as I can. Now I'm waiting for face and body there, and then I'll go ahead and let go. Good boy. You're a smart little bugger, aren't you? All right.
Got about 18 minutes to go. 18 minutes, lots of time.
You know, and last year was the first time I've ever had anybody say 45-minute sessions. First thing I thought was, oh, what's 15 minutes? Last year I realized that's more than I give it credit for. 15 minutes is a lot when you're trying to get a lot done. Now you can see here, as far as backup, there he was kind of going sideways. I really talk about that follow a feel, and I don't need to try to move over there to correct him or start trying to use my taps to change anything. If I'm backing him up and he's kind of giving me steps like this and he's not following the direction of that pole, I just leave the pole the same until he is following it and he is backing up straight, and then I release. So for him, in his mind, what I'm hoping to really get across to him is that until you follow the direction of that pole and the direction of correct, you're not going to get a release, as opposed to if I back him up and he moves and I try to move him back over and then try again, I'm just going to leave that pressure the exact same and keep showing him the exact direction until he finds it, and then I'll release. And it kind of goes to the idea that the power of pressure and release is probably the strongest motivator for a horse. There, he's really soft. Good man. Hey, bud. And then again, that big release, and go ahead and I'll just walk around and kind of clear the screen with him here a little bit. Try him here one more time, then we'll move along. Again, kind of getting back to that. I want to make sure that I feel like he truly understands before I move along. One thing when you guys are backing up horses that'll keep you really safe, keep this left arm straight. Then I'm not going to be right in his wheelhouse there. I keep distance between him and I. Now he's getting a little nervous here because of the pressure. So that shows me that I have one of the two things I need to accomplish in the backup. So I was going to move along, and once I found a problem, once I started tapping on him, it showed me right away he's not ready to move along. So if I can stay in here and he's kind of with me and getting to understand this, and then I start to apply them taps there, I just went to add a little pressure and he moved away from it. The more I can do that and release, the more his confidence to pressure starts to build. Just finding little pieces of things like that and maybe taking an extra 2 or 3 minutes is sure going to pay off when I decide it's time to get in the middle of this guy. Now when he gets stuck there, you see how I tried to maintain myself as relaxed and possible as I can. So when he goes to a 10, I don't go there with him. I stay where I'm at and I work him back down to me. Just because he kind of reared up and wanted to lunge away, I didn't need to overreact and rip on him or pull on him. I just needed to stay. Now if he went to drag me out of my boots, we'd have had a different conversation, but he's pretty sweet about it. And you see, the more I get into him here, it's the pressure that's creating the evasion. Good boy. That time I added pressure, he sped up a little bit. I can go ahead and walk away. I'm going to try that back up one more time before I move along. You guys can see I don't have my saddle out here today. I don't think I'm even going to get to that in 45 minutes. So I'm just going to kind of make sure that whatever I do now is going to make him ready to saddle for later. Good boy. Now you're getting it. Hey, he's picking up what I'm putting down. Good boy. It's a good sign there when you see a horse that I start tapping on him and he kind of pauses and then he does the correct thing. If you're looking for signs that a horse knows how to understand how to handle pressure, knows how to handle that pressure well, is when you start tapping on them and they have like a moment of thought, and instead of blowing and running away from the pressure, they do the right thing. It shows me that he's kind of doing that mental math in there and deciding how to move from the pressure as opposed to just reacting scared or negative. All right, bud. So now we're talking about our joystick. So I've got down and I've got back. Now I'm going to go and get my lefts and my rights. So to start with the left, I'm going to grab really short on this knot. If you guys are wondering why I grab short, it's not that I need to keep a hold of him or that I feel like I'm stronger in that situation. When I grab short on the halter, what it does is it allows me to talk to him by moving my hand very little, as opposed to if I'm long, I have to move my hand 2 feet to get to where I can talk to him off of that joystick. So when I grab short, I can move an inch and I can create pull. Long kind of leaves me a little bit exposed. So I'll show him the direction here. Lift. There he moves away, release. Kind of the same as I did in the beginning. Anything the direction is correct, let go. Good boy. One good thing I'm seeing, I try to always make sure I'm giving my horses credit for their progression. Right now what I'm really happy about is whatever I'm asking him to do, I haven't lost his focus. He hasn't left me again. In the beginning I was a little concerned that might be more of a problem than I was hoping. But now I've got him to where he really understands everything I'm talking about and he's with me. That's a great thing. Good boy. I gotta say, that's the best that's ever went, if you're wondering. Just so you know.
Well, you know, when you look back at his pedigree, his registered name is R.H.R. Valentine's King. But I see back, a ways back, his great-grandmother's name was Red Spooky Jack. And his great-grandfather's name, his grandmother's name was Two Bucks' sister. So those two names may have something to do with his personality.
Let's just hope it was sarcastically named, like a big guy named Tiny, yeah. Right? Buck and Spook on your papers is something I might turn away from, but then if you worked with him for 5 minutes, you'd be thinking, I don't know. Of course, we haven't saddled him yet.
That's on his paternal side. On his mother's side, way back there, is Doc's love note. So there you go, that might be the dog.
Maybe that's the sweetheart out of him, eh?
And Two-Eyed Love and Orange King Breeze.
When I was a kid, I remember my grandpa, both my grandpas actually, they both team roped and ranched a bunch, and they were die-hard Two-Eyed Jack fans. I rode a lot of Two-Eyed Jack horses when I was a kid. There, good man. I'm impressed, little boy. That was good. Moving right along. All right. Flag me. Get that handled. So when I flag a colt, I'll just maybe explain it before I get started. There's a million different ways to use this tool or this training aid when you bring it out. Mine is simply to just teach him how to respond to things that he's scared of. So as I bring it to him, he's going to be nervous, and how I handle myself is what's going to teach him the next time he's going to be nervous how to stay with me. So I don't use it to get him to where he's not scared of the flag, and I try to stay away from the word desensitizing, because any trainer will tell you that when they're not sensitive, they're not fun. So it's not that I don't want him desensitized. I just want to teach him how to accept something that he's really, really scared of, and what that's going to do or how I'm going to make that happen is going to be my left hand. If I start shaking this flag and he runs off and my left hand is just rigid and stiff, I'm not going to be able to keep him, because he's going to get to where he's scared of the flag. Then he's going to be more worried about getting away from me than he is the flag. So with my left hand, I'm going to do my very best to make sure that as I start to pull on him, if I pull on him when he goes to leave and he comes back to me, I got to release. And then if he's not running away from me, I can't be pulling on him. Does that make sense? I don't want him to feel trapped, because the fear of being trapped will darn sure outweigh the fear of this flag. go ahead and shake it, see how he responds. I don't want to just take it right at him and blow him out of the water for no reason. And then as I'm going around here, you can see I haven't pulled on him yet. There I might ask him to stay, then release. It's funny because how you handle yourself in the first 5 minutes of flagging a horse will determine sometimes how they handle every time they're scared. That kind of run off and bolt, sometimes I feel like that comes from the first time they got scared. Somebody pulled too hard and kind of they felt trapped. So then from then on, they were like, I'm never going to be trapped again. And then you see there, that's his first shot of accepting it. First time he hadn't thought about leaving, he kind of checked it out, and I'll just take it away. Thank you. And the flag is not only a good test to teach them how to kind of handle things they're scared or nervous of, it also gives me a good read on how serious he's going to be if he wants to jump and run away. And then when he wants to jump and run away, it'll give me a good idea of how soft he is when I pull on him. So if he really wants to get away from me and I pull on him and right away he comes back soft and pretty, it makes me feel like I could go ahead and ride this horse, because if something does happen, I have the ability to talk him out of it.
We've got about 9.5 minutes to go.
You sure?
Well, 9 minutes and 14 seconds is what it says here.
Good boy. I like how he's checking in with me before he's wanting to blow away. It's just little things like if I was sitting here thinking, you know, how's this horse going to be saddled, or if I had him in training and I was at home in my barn, right now I would darn sure be green lighting a lot of things for me to say this colt's ready to saddle. He needs a little bit more of this, but how he handles himself, he shows me that he's mentally ready to start moving on to those things. If I pulled out this flag and I found a demon in him, I might wait a few days to saddle one, but he handled that very well. Go ahead and switch directions here and try and make sure I get some good stuff on that right eye. There he goes to leave. I don't want to pull as hard as I can. Just ask him to stay. Hold, then release. And I'm kind of, when I'm releasing, what I'm thinking about is, does he try to get back to me? It's not just that he stops moving. Sometimes when I teach people this, they just hold, and as soon as he stops moving, they quit shaking the flag. He's got to try to get back to me. He's got to try to stay with me. He can't just run away and then stop moving his feet and stand there and shake. That doesn't make me feel like he's accepting it in any way, shape, or form. And acceptance is kind of the word of the day when you're talking about flags or saddles or bridles or anything like that. Anything they're scared of, the acceptance is going to be what I'm really hunting. You can see he's still just nervy of it, but his ability to think through it is something that you really got to give him a gold star on. Good boy. You know, that was just, and all I'm looking for there is better. You know, when he gives me, and it maybe better, a good definition of when I say wait for them to get better, a good way to look at it is effort. If he starts, okay, I agree. If he starts trying to get better, and I release, and I start rewarding for effort, you know, the first few days, sometimes I feel like I don't get as much done as I'd like to, and then it's amazing how once I kind of get him over that, I can move through one a lot faster than if I push past something before he's kind of there for me. Now I'm just going to kind of change up my routine here and go ahead and just let him kind of get an idea of it. You good with that? Probably smells like other horses. You're all right, fella. You can see I can kind of just leave it there to where I'm not just shoving it at him, giving him lots of time, and it's almost like I'm stretching elastic band there with him. Just leave it to him. Hey, if you're gonna kick the flag. Make sure, please. Hold, release. Good man. There's really no right or wrong way to use a flag. What I would say, kind of getting back to the first thing I was kind of wanting to encourage everybody to do this weekend, is that for yourself and for the fun of watching the challenge is read the horse. You know, how I'm going to take a flag to a horse, or how much I'm going to take to him, or how far I'm going to go with it. It's a lot of how that horse responds to it. If he responds really negatively and kind of rude to it, I've seen horses strike at it, kick at it, all those things. You know, make sure you got your halter work good enough that you can move him away. If he's super scared of it, maybe you don't go at him all at once and just kind of chip away at it. And kind of, there's a good cowboy phrase that says, don't kick harder than you can ride. And I think that would apply to the flag. If you don't feel that you can hold on to your horse, probably don't grab the flag and go to shaking it at his face. You know, wait till you can kind of inch up to that, right?
5 minutes now, Kate. You know, this stuff is so important. I bought a 20-year-old mare from a neighbor last summer, and she'd done everything on the ranch. She'd roped in the open, she'd drug 1,000 calves to the branding fire, she'd sorted in a pan, and 20 years old, pretty good old bomb-proof mare. Well, I thought, let's see how she handles a plastic bag on the end of a stick. Well, I walked up and approached her, and as soon as I unfolded that plastic bag, she just absolutely freaked out, like she had never, ever experienced that. Oh, way worse than that. 20 years or so, you know, that was never done in her foundation.
Hey.
No matter how much else is done with it. That should be taken care of.
It's funny that ranch horses are like that, though. You take a horse off the ranch, they're scared of pavement. You take
don't go across the sidewalk.
You take a city horse to a ranch and they're scared of grass, so I don't know which one's better. As soon as they see an open field, they just have a meltdown. They're like, no fences? I don't know where to go.
And then a cow comes out of the bush and puts someone on the board.
Hey. Okay, so now what's happened is that the flag has outweighed my control. So before I go back to that flag, I'm going to remind him to stay off of that pressure. So I don't mind if he moves away. Towards is never allowed. Now I know you're nervy of it. Hey, there you go, you big baby. Thank you. I have a feeling he's gonna be a little cinchy. Could be wrong. Don't think I am. But if you kind of relate that to how he's going to be cinchy, if he's only cinchy for as long as he was scared of the flag, I think we'll be all right. As my time's kind of finishing up, do I need to turn her loose, or I can hand in my halter, right? Perfect. Then I'll just finish with the flag then. You can see that the right side was quite a bit worse, which is no surprise to most people that's worked with some colts. So what I'm going to do is kind of spend my last few minutes here with the flag and making sure that when I come back out, I feel like I'm ready to go ahead and grab for the saddle. You can see now how hard she would be to saddle. If she's going to be as scared of the saddle as she is of the flag, she's going to be tough. So the more I can kind of work her through some of these things, or work him through some of these things. Sorry, bud. No offense. And then go ahead and check his other side here.
2 minutes now, Kate. 2 minutes.
I think I'll just keep flagging him until you tell me to stop, Hugh.
Okay.
Good? That's it?
Oh, you still got a minute and a half.
Oh. Sometimes you say 18 minutes and I feel like it was 2 minutes. Sometimes you say 2 minutes, I feel like it was 5 minutes.
Well, you might be able to sell that extra minute to Rod.
Yeah. I'm looking to buy minutes later on too if you guys want to sell them. That's a good man. Hey? That's a good man. Hey? Just kind of spend a second here on his face so when he comes back out, I know I can just walk up and grab a hold of him. Hey, partner?
1 minute.
It's always a bit of a good test. You reach down here. I've had young horses to where you reach down in their armpit a little bit and they kind of want to lay down on you, or their front feet drop. That's a fair shake that one might be a little bit cinchy. Again, I'm not a psychic, it's just a guess, but I'd put money on it. There, bud. Good boy. You're gonna be just fine, aren't you? We're gonna have fun this weekend. All right, it's gotta be close. You can go ahead and take him. before I start something I can't finish.